morning, everyone. As Michael said, the purpose of this is to really help and take you through kind of the consulting engagement life cycle. As many of you are aware that when you do a project, there are certain steps you go through to manage a project. And a consulting engagement is no different. There are certain things that we as consultants need to be doing with you as a client to ensure that we are clearly understanding the purpose of the engagement, that you clearly understand what work we will be doing, and to ensure that both you as a client, I as a consultant, are focused on the same objectives. And we do that just like, project managers have their life cycles, projects have life cycles, there are processes to use, there are steps to use. Within the consulting arena, we do the same thing. And what I'd like to take you through today is what that life cycle is, talk about why those steps are important, and help you understand what we as consultants go through as we go through an engagement to try to ensure that we are providing the right levels of service, that we are achieving what you want us to achieve, and that at the end of the engagement you're satisfied with the deliverables that we deliver and the work that has been done during the engagement. And that's basically the objectives of the webinar. Learn how to get the most value from your consulting engagement. Again, understand what the consulting engagement life cycle is, why the steps within the life cycle are important, and understand how you can use the life cycle and be aware of it to ensure that all activities, and that's what we do, to ensure all those activities are executed. And then as a result of that, make sure that as we go through those steps that you learn how that life cycle, we use it to ensure the engagement is successful. Now, the one thing I do want to say is the reason we talk about this is not so you as a client would manage the consulting engagement. It's more of an awareness of what is happening during the engagement, so you are aware of the steps and the things that we might be doing a little behind the scenes that you do not see. But again, as I talk about some of the steps and how we go through status reporting to you, I think it's very, very helpful to get a full view of the consulting engagement. Okay. And the consulting life cycle is the approach that many consultants use to define and manage engagements. We want to, again, ensure that we clearly understand what your goals and objectives are of the engagement. We want to ensure that we have the skills and the experience to address what your desired outcomes are. And we also use it internally to review what we're doing with our management to ensure that as we make a commitment to do an engagement, that everyone within the firm is comfortable that the firm has the skills and the experiences to be able to deliver on that engagement. Because the engagement is not just a single consultant, it's also the consultant's firm that has responsibility to ensure the engagement is successful. And again, if we do all those things correctly, hopefully it drives your satisfaction levels with the engagement. And in many cases, the objectives that clients have for engagements are really to know that all the appropriate activities from scope definition to deliverables, descriptions, time frames, when those deliverables are going to be presented, have been defined and completed. It's important for you to know that when the engagement is successfully completed, because there are key milestones and end dates and deliverables that you will be presented with to ensure your satisfaction and that we mutually agree that the engagement has been successfully completed. And again, it's dollars that you're going to be investing in the engagement, time, effort, people's time within your organization. So you really want to make sure that you receive most of the value that you can, that you're going to invest within the engagement. Okay. And in many cases, the clients I deal with have many challenges facing them. Depends on where they sit within the organization. And normally what happens is clients have questions. Are we getting the most out of our IT investment? Do we have the right skills in whatever platform? If we're going to be bringing in a new platform, what do we need to do to make sure we have the right skills and the right experience so the platform can be brought in, we can transition from current to future without a disruption to our business and without a disruption to our external clients. What can we do, or what can be done to improve our customer-facing activities? Many times CIOs want to know, how do I know that we're doing the best we can with the resources we have and that we're providing the best services? Many times clients ask us about questions about their customers. How satisfied are they with the service that is being delivered? And the other key thing is both the business areas and the IT areas always worry about making sure that the business and the IT strategic plans are properly aligned. So they may be some of the questions that our clients have. They may turn to a consultant to help find answers. And there are many others. So once the client has decided that maybe they need to engage in a consultant, and it could be for many different reasons. One of the reasons are very simply that they don't have the time to do it themselves. In other cases, they feel they may not have the expertise, that there may be something, especially if they're bringing in something new, that they, within their own organization, do not have the skills or expertise to do that, then an outside consultant could help them with that transition. So whatever the reason, at some point, a customer or a client has decided they would like to hire a consultant to do some work. But one of the things that we try to do is clearly make sure that the questions that you need answered are clearly defined. There is a process in the first couple steps that we go through that is really a discovery process. And by that I mean we try to understand clearly what is your environment, what are your challenges, what are your objectives, what are the things you need to achieve from this engagement, so we can put together a structure and an engagement plan to achieve those objectives. So you have a list of questions and in your mind you say, this is what I really need to have resolved. You decide to hire a consultant, and in your early meetings with the consultant, one of the things you want to make sure that happens is that the consultant really understands the questions that you have. It's important to make sure that in the very beginning there's a clear understanding between what you would like to achieve, so that the consultant can understand that and make sure the plan that is laid out will achieve those objectives. At some point you indicate that yes, you'd like the consultant to do the work. Then you go through some type of statement of work is developed. We try to develop the statement of work and negotiate that with you as a customer. And at some point, contracts are signed and the engagement is about to start. And in many times, people think that's the most difficult part. That is trying to get to the point where the consultant is hired. You've hired the consultant and you say, okay, we're getting ready to get started. But normally what happens is after the contract is signed, there's this period of however. And that however is really what we like to call buyer's concern. And that is you step back and say, okay, I've now engaged in a consulting firm. And it could be I've engaged a single consultant or a team of consultants depending on the magnitude of the work. So then you start to say to yourself, well, am I sure the consultant clearly understood what the intended scope of work is? Now, that's one of the reasons we put together a scope document to ensure in writing that both parties understand the work that's going to be done. How much work are we going to do? What areas of the business are we going to look at? It might only be one area. It could be one sub-area of a business. So it could be only accounts receivable versus accounts receivable and accounts payable. So part of the reason we do the discovery and we do the statement of work is to make sure we all understand the bounds of the work that's going to be done. The other question you may start to ask is,